There are many people in the world who do not understand the work that zoos do and believe that the animals are unhappy or don't deserve to be kept on display in enclosures. After talking to zookeepers, it became clear to us that good zoos are important for many reasons, and the workers truly care for the animals. So you might ask, what exactly makes a good zoo?
My main criterion when I go to a place, if I've never been there before, is I look at the condition of the animals. If they're furry, are they shiny and clean? Do they look healthy? Happy is a weird word, so I don't look for that. I just do they look like they're healthy, well fed, maintained, not sick, that kind of stuff. Bad zoos don't do that. Bad zoos are all about the money.
I think the ideal zoo is one that provides its animals with the best veterinary care, the best diet, an enclosure that lets them express as much of their natural behavior as possible. And that's going to vary from animal to animal. Our otters have an enclosure that they're pretty comfortable with and happy with. Our tamarins have an exhibit that they're pretty happy with. If we were to switch them, they'd both be miserable.
What we learned from the zookeepers and our own research is that the Association of Zoos and Aquariums plays a very important role in giving credit to good zoos and keeping zoos up to the standards that the animals require.
AZA accreditation involves having an inspection team of professionals from across the zoo community coming every 5 years, more if they feel it's necessary, and basically turning the zoo inside out, looking at every aspect.
The AZA is currently upgrading their standards for every animal and creating animal care manuals for each species.
Once again, the AZA, the Association of Zoos and Aquariums, actually has standards that tell you here's the minimum size you need for. And there are actual, and I don't know what they are off the top of my head, but there is a minimum requirement. This is how much space you have to have if you want a jaguar, if you want a grizzly bear, if you want a puffin exhibit. There are things called taxon advisory groups, which actually have the protocols for all these species written out saying this is the minimum that you have to have, and this is how you should keep them, how many should be there, and things like that.
So being part of this AZA community helps us not have to reinvent the wheel. It helps us provide the best care for our animals because we are able to collaborate with experts across the country.
The zookeepers within each zoo spend a lot of time getting to know their animals as individuals as well. Animals all have different personalities within a species, just like people.
One, you need to know the animal as the species. You need to know what would that animal be doing in the wild? What's that animal's natural history? What makes it comfortable? You know, with our bears, our old male bear Greedo loved food. That was about it. He was a good-natured guy. There were things that he enjoyed doing, like he liked to eat, he liked to splash around in his pool, and he liked to take naps. If he only saw us during feeding time every day, that was cool with him. Chaska, the female, on the other hand, is a people bear. She wants to engage with us all the time. She wants to see what's going on. She wants to interact. She loves getting attention from us. She loves getting toys from us, new challenges, and her daughter Alba is very much the same way. If we had managed Chaska and Alba the way that we managed Greedo, they probably would have been like, where are you guys going all the time? You just got here. So you have to know your animal, know what makes them comfortable, what makes them happy as individuals, and then do your best to tailor your care towards that.
The days of we're going to go on safari and bring things back, it just doesn't happen that way anymore.
Well, the majority of the animals, I would say probably 90%, come from other zoos or were born here at the Salisbury Zoo. And they are moved about between zoos to maintain stable breeding populations. The reality is the wild for many species is not that safe of a place anymore. An increasing number of animals are being driven completely to extinction in the wild, but are surviving in zoos. So we collaborate with other zoos to maintain basically a modern arc of breeding programs. And to do that, we exchange animals back and forth.
Part of the reason zoos are so important in this world is the fact that they do this breeding and help reintroduce endangered animals into the wild.
Besides that, the zoo should also fulfill the missions of education and conservation, and those two should be feeding into one another. It should be educating the public about the animals, but especially how to conserve them. A big part of the zoo's mission is just to put people in contact with animals and inspire them to want to take care of them. The Global Front, what we've always done is raise funds. And we try to raise funds that are aimed at the species that we have in our collection so that visitors can come see the animals and realize that they're supporting those animals in the wild.
Although Salisbury Zoo is AZA accredited and does a lot of amazing work, Shelley admits that there are still improvements to be made.
If you're running a zoo or an aquarium or a sanctuary and you ever stop and look around and say, I am perfectly satisfied with how things are going, you should probably retire and let somebody else come in. The wonderful thing about AZA standards and our standards here at Salisbury is they are constantly improving. You guys have seen the bear exhibit. The one half of the exhibit, the old concrete part of the exhibit, that used to be the bear exhibit. And there was a time when, for animal care, that was considered, okay, it holds the bears, people can see it, check, we're good.
We started out our research believing that zoos were sad places for animals to live. But we came to the conclusion that most zoos are quite the opposite. There will always be people who don't follow the rules and don't care to become AZA accredited, but for the most part, zoos are always working to better the lives of animals in their care and in the wild.